So joining us today, we have three people here that are also going to be faculty for the upcoming BIE training and licensing course that IHN is collaborating on. And those of you that have been with IHN for a while know that we don't collaborate on a lot of things. But this is one of those modalities where it was just a first choice when it comes to bioenergetics and some of the things that are out there. Just there's so many of our graduates that we've just heard a lot of success stories. And some of you might be familiar with Robert, who from his iridology course as part of IHN's Con Ed program. He studied holistic nutrition, acupuncture, quantum and biophysics, traditional Chinese medicine, herbology, and along with Silvana, who's here with us tonight as well, is the co-founder of BIE. And Silvana, you may know from television appearances, public speaking. She's been in the health and wellness industry for quite some time now, and her areas of expertise are in food and allergy, emotional trauma, acupuncture, life coaching, just to name a few, and is always working to get to that root cause of what the imbalances are. And then we have Brittany with us tonight as well, who's a graduate of IHN, a bioenergetics practitioner, and co-teaches the bioenergetics licensing and training program, which I'm sure we're going to talk about a little bit today as well, and is CEO for the Institute of Natural Health Technologies. So without further ado, I don't think you need to hear from me anymore. We're all here to learn a little bit about this great modality. So I will turn it over to the team here to take us through the webinar.
Well, thank you. And for some of you who are logging, I recognize some of your names. So hi, I'm sorry I can't see your face. Yes, I've been with IHN now probably 10 years, something like that. And I love it. And I always say this, and no one's asked me to say this. Elizabeth has not asked me to say this. Julie has never asked me to say this, but we get a chance to interview a lot of practitioners that want to take our training. And the best trained ones we have are coming from IHN. And again, I don't get anything for that. Don't get any special treatment or anything. That is just something that I've noticed from interviewing people from different schools. But the ones from IHN seem to be the best trained nutritionists in North America from the schools we've had all over North America. So that's a plug for you guys, because it's really true. And I don't work for IHN, so I'm trying to tell you, right? I'm non-biased when I say that. So
I'd like to interject 1 second there. Many moons ago, I used to teach fundamentals of nutrition, and I'm not going to say where. However, I agree with Robert. The caliber of students that we get to our training sessions that come from IHN are in such a great position to become good BA practitioners, because they have a well-rounded knowledge of everything that they need to succeed to become a BA practitioner. And that's why we are collaborating with IHN, because their training is the top. And that's the best marriage I can think of, other than Rob and my marriage.
Thanks, honey. Hey, Dad. Anyway, so this was introduced with a different title, but basically it's almost like we did a webinar for IHN back in July, and it was called Maximizing Vitamin and Mineral Absorption Without the Aid of Supplements. We're not against supplements, but you know what's been happening out there in the market. For some of you who don't know, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but basically this is kind of a part B to that. And I remember Julia basically asking, like, tell them about the program. What's the program you guys offer? So I want to start by saying just a recap from what we talked about the last time. What do we mean by maximizing vitamin and mineral absorption without this aid of supplements? We're taking in our food, and some of us we realize that our food is not the greatest choice. The soils have been overproduced, and basically we're supposed to take in about basically vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, 80 some of those every day. But all they're putting down, the farmers are putting down on the fields for fertilizers, NPK, vitamins, vitamins, minerals, and actually, no, sorry, pardon me, it's what vitamins and minerals? Just the minerals, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, those three. They're the only three that they seem to be putting down. So we don't get all the nutrients that we really need. But how do you maximize your ability to absorb those? The modality of BIE, which we're going to get into in a few minutes, and it's basically from part 2, so I don't want to get into the complete details that I did. If you guys want more information, check out the webinar we did, part A from this in July from IHN. So it gets into it in detail. We explain it in detail how it actually works. And some of you who are actually on this talk, this webinar, have actually been on the last one. So you're probably seeing a part 2 to this. So what BIE is, and there's a slide on this a little bit later, which I don't really want to talk about, but it's basically helping a person's body to recognize the culprit that's actually causing the health disorder. So any health disorder has some form of a culprit or a cause, something that's throwing the body off. And I talk about the software of the body, how well, let's talk about a computer. So you see a computer, everything you can touch, see, feel is hardware, but there's an invisible essence that flows all through the computer, and it's called software. You don't see software. Our bodies are the very same thing. Everything I can touch, see, feel, see on an X-ray is hardware. But this invisible essence that flows the body, and we all have it, it's called static electricity. In science, we call it layers of electromagnetic flux. Some of you may recognize this as chi, the natural energy, the life force that flows to the body. Well, the electrons will flow from the feet, and they flow up to these channels called meridians, and they leave the top of the head. The negatively charged electrons will leave the top of the head, and they go back into the palms of the hand, soles of the feet. So the electrons are constantly flowing around the body. And if that sounds too out there for you, drag your feet across a carpet and touch a metal object and see what happens. That's the static discharge. So let's refer to that energy as static electricity. As that's flowing around the body and it's constantly in motion, energy always has to be in motion. The brain will use that energy and communicate to 50 trillion cells that make up you, the body, the human body. So it tells the body what to take in, what not to take in. And I actually I have medical doctors that sit in front of me as my own clients. And I say, okay, so tell me, inside the body, it is pitch black. There is zero light inside the body. Well, how does the body know, or how does the cell know when something goes by it in the bloodstream and it's pitch black? How does it know? Nope, don't want that one, don't want that one. And yes, I'll take this one. Takes it in, breaks it down, generates the energy from it. Dumps toxins, reproduces, repairs cell damage, produces enzymes, communicates to other cells, communicates to the brain. So I asked this doctor, and I asked the doctors that come in here, how does the body know, or how do the cells know how to do that? Pause. The brain tells it, right. How does the brain tell it? Electricity, right. See, they don't train this in med school. They don't get trained in this stuff. They don't get trained in the software. So that's the software of the body. They are hardware practitioners, if you want to think of it that way. They deal with the body, everything you can touch, see, feel. They know that stuff. I don't know that stuff. If you trip and fall and break your arm and your bone is protruding out through your arm, do not come running to me. I'd pass out. I don't know that stuff. But why the body works the way it does, and how it works, and what it knows what to take in, what not to, that's the software. So BIE is basically working with the software of the body. I like to consider myself a software practitioner as opposed to a hardware practitioner. And that what we do with BIE is, once we determine what things that are actually causing the problem, the culprits, And we do that through muscle testing or applied kinesiology, that was they used to call it. But once we determine what the issue is that they're reacting to, we somehow have to get their body to recognize it. So we need a translator, and you can see it right on the screen here. It's our little machine. It's called the GSR 120. It's got a metal plate on the top of it, which is electric plate. And anything that we put on top of that, it now runs an electrical current through it, measures the vibration. Do you know that everything on planet Earth has its own unique molecular vibration rate? That vibration rate is referred to in science as a signature or a fingerprint, because it's unique to that substance. So it takes the vibration, translates that vibration to electrical impulse. I'm going to be real dramatic here. So instead of something going whoa, 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 it goes da, 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 da. Does that make it clear? So it basically takes the vibration, translates it to electrical impulse, and then electronically we imprint it in the body. It's very comfortable. Even children feel comfortable with it. There's no pain involved, no blood. It's very non-invasive. And we electronically imprint it in the body, and it's like the body suddenly wakes up and says, oh, I recognize that. That is, okay, I know what that is now. Now when it's able to recognize it for what it is, it can now differentiate between good and bad, harmful and non-harmful, deal with it accordingly, and the body heals itself. We have never taken any credit for anyone getting healing after we work with them. Never take it. In all the years we've been doing this, we keep telling them, I didn't do it. You have this awesome healing machine called the body, and it will heal itself and can heal itself of virtually anything as long as you don't interfere with its natural healing process. So that being said, I've said it in a nutshell. We can get into a little bit more detail a little bit later, and we can have question and answer at the end of this. But if you do really want to know more information how that works and how the body can actually absorb, well, if you can actually be intolerant to a mineral or a vitamin, literally, even though it's necessary for the body. And so if we electronically imprint the vibrational frequency of a vitamin or a mineral into the body goes, oh, I recognize that. And it becomes almost magnetized to that vitamin mineral. It takes it in very, very, very quickly. So even if you don't have that much nutrient in a food, the body will absorb it to its maximum potential, and it'll be able to utilize it much, much easier. And basically, there's an old saying that says, you are what you eat, but there's actually, you are what you eat, digest, assimilate, and utilize. And that's really what BIE is doing. It's helping the body to be able to break these things down and utilize them very well. So this is we're going to talk today about the BIE licensing and training program, because Julie really wanted us to get into this. And you can see we're just muscle testing somebody there for a signature. We have all these little signature vials. But so our mission statement, the INHT was founded to ensure the highest standards of education in the alternative field. It's our endeavor to be one of the vanguards in integrating technology, health sciences, and philosophies of Eastern and Western societies. The Institute of Natural Health Technologies, that's us, established in 1998, is the only state-of-the-art stressor reduction protocol of its type worldwide. And it talks also about iridology, whatever, but this is basically, we're saying that there are many people that have tried to copy what we do, but we have the original protocol to actually be able to do what we do and what our little machine does. So about the program.
Right. Can I also interject a little bit there? We're also the people who own the patent on this modality and the machine. So INHT owns the patent, and that's we're the originals.
So about the program, the INHT offers BIE licenses. This is not a training course. It's an actual license, a business license that people would actually purchase to the professional chiropractor. We have many chiropractors, naturopathic doctors, osteopaths, nutritionists, many nutritionists, nurses, acupuncturists, TCM practitioner, doctor of natural medicine, and homeopaths. There's so many different walks of the natural health field that have been working with us, but you have to have a specific background. And IHN has been phenomenal at preparing people for what they need to know to have any practice. So licenses are issued to the participant, but I'm just going to try to say this without my wax lips getting close to this hot light. Licenses are issued to each participant upon completion of a 6-day training for the right to practice BIE techniques. It's actually a legal license to practice as BIE. We have implemented regulatory procedures to prevent misconduct, misrepresentation, or grossly elevated service fees to avoid discrediting the integrity of the institute or its unique modality. We like everybody to charge the same price, so nobody can have one up on you. If you're a practitioner, somebody's out in the field and you find out someone, a couple miles away is doing BIE and they're charging half of what you are, we have the regulatory procedures to stop that. And so everybody is equal. We all make the same income, basically. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. So what exactly is BIE? As I was saying, I basically told you a little bit about it. But again, I'll reiterate this. BIE is a natural, non-invasive modality that helps a person's body to recognize the culprit stressors. And what's a stressor? Anything that stresses the body, basically, that are causing the health disorder. So our patented GSR 120, that's a little machine we just showed you, directs energy on specific points in the body, introducing the electromagnetic signatures of stressors, the culprits. So it takes the vibration and electronically imprints them in the body. This enables the body to recognize the stressors and deal with them accordingly. And then, of course, the body relieves itself from any associated symptoms. And the best part is without the use of needles or drugs. So it's completely natural. It's non-invasive. And
Rob, on that note, actually, just while you were talking, I thought of a really good example that we can give people is when we were discussing vitamin mineral absorption. I think as nutritionists, a really good example that we can give too, and Rob, we deal with this a lot in the office, is when people are anemic. And the difference, us as nutritionists, how if people come in with blood work and they show that they're anemic, they're low on iron, what we would do, of course, is recommend a supplement. But I think it would be a lovely example, Rob, if you explain what would you do in a situation where someone's body isn't recognizing or absorbing iron, where they would go from that point, and how iron supplements wouldn't necessarily do the trick.
Perfect. A good question. Well, so let's say you went to your doctor. You say, my iron is really low. I'm really tired. And he says, you're low on iron. We just took some blood work and we found out you're low on iron. So we want you to take iron. But consider your body like a bucket, and the liquid you're pouring into the bucket represents the nutrients we take in on a daily basis. And so the bucket fills up. Problem is the bucket's full of holes. And as fast as you're pouring that liquid or that nutrient in the body, it's leaking out the holes. So therefore, the level goes down. So what do you do to put the water level back up? You add more. There we go. Now I'm feeling so much. Oh, I was feeling better. And there it's going again. It's leaking out because of the holes. So what do? Put more in. And this just keeps happening. So what's the solution? Add more faster? Keep putting more in faster? Well, that's typically what we're going to get out there. If you have a problem with iron, take iron. If it's not working, take more iron. Take vitamin B12 shots to help hold the iron in the body. How about vitamin C? It helps to hold the iron in the body. So let's look at that. You've got iron, but iron requires folic acid, which is vitamin B9, to hold it in there. B12 actually helps to hold the iron, same with vitamin C, but intrinsic factor, which is produced in the gut, it actually holds onto the B12, which holds onto the iron. So this question was asked to me. We were in a room full of practitioners out in Vancouver, and one of the naturopaths at the back says, I asked them a question. I said, so what would you do if a patient comes in and they present to you, a very anemic condition. They're very low on iron. Now, take time, and I said, discuss it amongst yourselves. Don't answer too quickly. Talk to everybody and say, what would you do naturopathically to help this person? I'm not picking on naturopaths here. Please don't misunderstand me. So what would you do naturopathically to help this person who's got intolerance to iron? Do you know you can actually be intolerant to iron? And I'll explain this quickly. Anything that you are exposed to during a stressful event, your body will block it, even if it's vital for your health. You need to have it. I use this example of sitting in a car, eating an apple, and you're enjoying it. You're waiting for the stoplight to turn green, and you're enjoying this apple. We shouldn't be eating while we drive, so I'm not condoning this, but here we are eating an apple, and I'm really enjoying it, and bang, someone hits my car from behind. So I put it in park. I walk around the back. Someone has buried their grill in my bumper. Oh dear, the person's going, I'm sorry. This actually happened to me. He says, I'm looking over there, and out of my peripheral vision, I saw your lights go off. So I assumed you pulled ahead. So I drove ahead. I didn't pay attention. And that's what I drove into you. I'm so sorry. And I said, well, it's all right. They call it an accident for a reason. So we'll just call the police. They have to fill out their report, and we exchange insurance papers. And I said, but it had to happen today. It had to happen today. So I'm eating my apple, yum, 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 and I'm eating this thing down. But a minute ago, when I was enjoying it, when I was relaxed, my body will recognize apple for what it is. Because apple has a certain vibration called a signature. My body says, I recognize that. Now I'm eating it, but my brain fully comprehends what's going on. I just was in a bad accident. I was in a car accident here. Now we're waiting for police to show up. Oh, the stress. But the cells in the body don't know that. The brain's raining down all these electromagnetic impulses through all the cells in the body, and they're going, what's going on up there? The only thing's different is that apple. So block the apple. No, the apple had nothing to do with it. Doesn't matter. It's on the crime scene. We're blocking the apple. What else were you eating? Block that. What were you drinking? Block that. What were you breathing in? Block that. So the body will literally block anything trying to come into it, because it now associates anything you're exposed to as the stress or the stressor or the cause of the stress. So that's how the body works. It not only blocks things just on the outside of the body, it will block things endogenously inside the body, internally. It can block vitamins, minerals, hormones, your own stomach acid, enzymes, you name it, it will block it. So if that's the case, if you happen to be exposed to, let's say iron was flowing around through your bloodstream, iron. So iron is the cause of my stress, and the body will literally block it. It does that. And it's, even though it's, like I said, it's essential for your health. So if someone's come into you and they're presenting, I have low iron, chances are the body has blocked it. So what we do is we test them. I'm going to test you for iron. I'm going to test you for folic acid, B9. I'm going to test you for B12. I want to test you for the intrinsic factor. And so this gentleman, when I was asking this group of people in Vancouver, what do you do? Think about it. Hand went up. I was thinking to myself, well, you didn't want to take your time on this. Yes, I would increase the vitamin B12. Well, understand that B12 is going to bind. Now, if you're intolerant to iron, this is what I want to say. Your body's intolerant to iron. So if you take the B12, it chelates onto the iron. So what does the body do? I don't recognize the iron. Throws off the iron, takes the B12 out with it. Now you're losing iron and B12. Arm, next hand goes up. Yes, I would increase the intrinsic factor in the gut. Okay, and the intrinsic factor will chelate onto the B12. The B12 will chelate onto the iron. When your body throws the iron off, it takes all the intrinsic factor and the B12 out. Now you're deficient in all three. You see what can happen? And there's a hormone, which very few people have actually ever heard of, is called hepcidin. Hepcidin is the hormone that basically controls iron in the body. Who addresses that? So we address hepcidin, we address the intrinsic factor vitamin C and B12 and folic acid and the iron, and we imprint it in the body. And then the body recognizes everything as a complete whole and harmony. And then the body is able to start absorbing iron again. So that's a good question. Thanks, Brett, for bringing that up.
And also, I'd like to
that
add
could be
one other thing. We're all very familiar with type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, that's where the pancreas is not producing insulin. But in type 2 diabetes, the pancreas is still producing insulin. So that's another really great example too. In addition to the iron, your pancreas is producing insulin, but your cells are saying, no, you're not coming in. So you become insulin resistant. Another example is leptin.
Can I stop you right there? I'm sorry. This is a great point you're on, but my brother just sent me a text last night at 12 o'clock. He came to see me probably a couple of years ago, and he says, Rob, I'm panicky. I'm really upset that I'm scared. My diabetes is through the roof. Now, he had type 2, which means his pancreas is still producing insulin, but it's not getting a cell. But I'm really scared because now I'm on metformin, I'm on another medication, and the doctor wants to give me a second type of insulin. They can't get my blood sugar numbers down. It's hovering at around 33. And anyone who knows about blood sugar will understand that's extremely high, because they say consider now 6.5 is considered diabetes. Well, he's at 33. Very dangerous state. Rob, what do I do? You got to understand, it's going to the back of my mind. This is the guy that used to pick on me and beat me up all my life. Now he comes crawling to me. Isn't time your best advantage sometimes? Here, let me just read this to you. So this is what he sends me. So he came, I want to say this. He came to see me once, and I worked with him just with amino acids. And because, when amino acids gets messed up, a lot of things mess up. So he comes back about 2 weeks later and he says, my blood sugar is now down to 9.2. So I did one more session with him. I worked with sugar and insulin, chromium, vanadium, manganese. And the next week it went down to 8.2. And I did another session of different things. I think I did glycogen and glucose or whatever imprinted in his body. And his blood sugar went down to 5.8. Now, he just said this to me. He says, just heard from my doctor's office. They no longer consider me as having a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. I knew it 6 months ago when I went off the metformin. They tend to be reluctant to give me any good news. He says, now I hope my morbidly obese doctor will be inspired. So, but anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. We are not making any claims to say we cure diabetes. Didn't cure it. His body healed itself from it is once we're able to help his body recognize the culprits. Body didn't even recognize its own insulin. The body had blocked that. Didn't recognize chromium, vanadium, manganese, anything like that. Sugar, didn't recognize sugar. Well, I don't eat a lot of sugar. Well, you can eat meat or chicken and fish, and it still breaks down into sugar. If you eat vegetables, they break down to sugar. So it's still, that's your number one, your body's number one choice for fuel. So I wanted to touch on that because you mentioned that, Silvana. Sorry to cut you off. I just had to add that in there.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I wanted to add that as well, but also another one that's plagued our society, North America, and the Mayo Clinic has developed an obesity clinic. And what they have found, the common denominator with all obese patients is that they're leptin resistant. So again, our body can choose to not allow whatever it doesn't want into the cell. And it's not just diabetes or insulin. It's not just leptin. It could be progesterone. It could be estrogen. A lot of women that are on hormone replacement therapy or on birth control pills, their body is not really recognizing the frequency or the energy of the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, whatever the HRT regime that they're on is. And so the body can choose to say no to anything. It's our job as a BI practitioner to determine what is it that the body needs to complete the healing. So you can take all the supplements you want, you can eat all the good food that you want, but if your body is not recognizing those supplements or the really good food that you're eating, you're not going to be healthy. So this is where BIE is a gem. As a nutritionist, you guide people on how to change their diet and how to eat well, drink lots of water. A lot of people are intolerant to water. And that's another thing that's absolutely insane, but it's very, very common. So that's the perfect marriage with BIE and nutrition, because you can help people change their diet, but then you have to make sure that their body is absorbing that frequency properly, utilizing it properly, and thus they're healthy.
Yeah, what Silvana was saying in Intolerant to Water, what she means is there's actually different types of water that people drink, whether it be Brita or a filter or reverse osmosis or something, but there's usually something in the water that the body's reacting, so it just rejects the water. It's not that we're actually intolerant to water, it's something within the water that they drink. Just want to clarify that. We'd be awful dry if we were intolerant to water. Okay, so the facts about this. So when someone comes in and gets a BIE session, how many BI sessions will a person need? Well, basically we say it takes 1 to 4 sessions to be able to harmonize or normalize a person's body to a given substance. Let's say you have an intolerance to, well, I'll just use example, an apple. I react to apple. I don't know what it is. I get, upset stomach and diarrhea every time I have apple. So typically, what would it take for that? We would take the actual apple, put it on the machine and print it in your body. We may throw something in like pectin and malic acid along with that, and we imprint those signatures in the body. Now, 80% of the things that we put on that plate and print in your body should hold for life in one shot. 20% roughly won't hold the first time, so they might require a second, third, or fourth time before it holds, and it won't require any further sessions after that. So we always say 1 to 4. So the next question is, how long do BIE sessions hold? Well, like I said, once it's 1 to 4, whatever it takes. I've had things done with, I've been cleared of things 22 years ago and still am able to eat them today, have no reaction. And that can go with anything. That can go with hormones, and it could go to vitamins and minerals and whatever else, chemicals. It could be anything that's someone's reacting to. But basically, it takes 1 to 4 times, and then I can't see it ever coming back, because once it's the DNA, the imprint is into the DNA of the cell should have permanent memory of that. So it shouldn't come back. And I don't think we've experienced when something's really beyond 4. Do they need something beyond 4? I don't think I've seen that much, if any, in 22 years of doing this. So how about you girls?
No. And the one too that you have to remember is that your body's cells started out very healthy. So your body has cellular memory. Your body's cells will remember health. All we're doing is enabling the cells to recognize frequency to create that health again. But don't forget that cell originally had the recipe for health. So I always say to people, okay, you were sick. Your body got you to this illness or this diseased state, but your body's cells remember health, and it remembers when you were well, so you can get back there.
Right. Okay, perfect. So the program overview, and girls, you may want to, you can jump in anytime if you want, but basically when someone comes for training, it's basically a 6-day program, a 6-day training, because you already have your background information. You already have got your education, you're studying your anatomy, physiology, pathology, symptomatology, biochemistry, blah, 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 blah. So you have a good understanding of how the body works. So BIE is only a 6-day training to become a licensed BIE practitioner because you have your background. And we supply the recipes on exactly what to do with every circumstance pretty much that we've come across in 22 years of doing this. So day one, it's an alternative stress theory and what causes these different problems to happen in the body. So it's we're going to be going through some theory, but we always want to break it up, and we want to go into some practical work where you're working and some theory. So it's broken up a little bit, and then we teach a little bit of the muscle testing. We actually teach you how to do it. There's different ways that I've seen to be effective, but we're going to show you a very, very accurate way to work with people to actually find out what they're actually intolerant to. And then day 2, we do more intolerance theory, and then more muscle testing. We do a lot of muscle testing. We find it's very important to cover a lot of muscle testing just so you're very confident and competent with it. Day 3, we do another type of clearing that we're normalizing the body. It's called the balance tap method. I don't want to get into the details now. It's a practical, and we get you working with these things right away. We get you testing and actually showing how to actually in a situation where, let's say you're in a restaurant and someone's having a reaction to something, or you're in a store or something, you're in public. Is there something you can do to help them without having a machine right in front of you? Yes, there is, but it's a temporary measure. But we teach that just to get them through it. Food environmental stressor testing, we'll do that. Day 4, we do more thyroid stress balancing, troubleshooting, emotional stressors, theory and practical. Silvana teaches on that because she's our resident expert on the emotional side of things. Number 5, day 5, procedures and protocols, stressor testing, again, more muscle testing. And then day 6 is we actually go through practical applications. We go through protocols. And so typically, what do you do when a person comes in this? We go through everything, but here's the most important part. We also talk about the business protocol and practical applications. A lot of people, you just finished school, you're getting out and you're thinking, okay, I've got all this academic knowledge in my head, but I don't necessarily have anything practical. What do I do? How do I get my business started? I've got a lot of fear. And we have done all that work for you. We've done everything wrong because of trial and error, getting something started for many, many years of pioneering this, to learn what actually works and what doesn't. So what we tell all the practitioners is we now have a recipe that if you follow it, you are guaranteed success. There's only one way you can fail, and is if you quit, and that's it. If you stay with it, and it just takes a little bit of time to get your business going, but you will be successful. And we've trained well over 200 people across Canada and the US now that have been enjoying BIE and seeing the phenomenal results you get from it, and how all the people you've helped. So there is a way and a recipe that if you follow it, you will be successful. There's actually one student, I won't mention any name because I haven't got her permission yet, but we had her in, and I was doing a webinar. We do monthly webinars for all our practitioners across Canada, the US, and we keep updating you on new information, new finds, new research. And so this was during COVID, and she was busy. And I said, so you're really busy? She said, yes, I'm busy 5 days a week, packed. And I just had to hire my second employee to help with the business flow and get everything going and organized, because people are coming in so fast and furious. We need help. And I said, that's great. So where are you finding it? And she was going to details and how she actually finds people. But she says, I got to tell you, I just followed the recipe, guys, that you guys gave us in training. We just followed the recipe. If you follow the recipe, it works. And so this came from her mouth. And so I said, and you're busy 5 days a week. It's really fun. And I knew when she started. So when did you start? She says, the end of October. And this is January 1st. So in that period of time, from the end of October to January 1st, she's now busy 5 days a week. She's hiring her second employee to help in her office. So again, there is a protocol that if you follow it, it works very, very well. And girls, did you want to add anything to that, or am I missing something?
The one thing I wanted to add as well, during the week, we do a lot of role playing as well. So we'll sit down with you and we'll be the practitioner. We will be the BI practitioner and you pretend to be the client, and you present with certain symptoms or whatever, and we role play. So we ask questions, we pretend we're in office so you can see us in action. And another thing that we always suggest too is, once you do take the training, come in and intern and sit with Rob. Unfortunately, you can't sit with myself because probably 90% of my client base is all emotional nourishment. So no one really feels comfortable having an intern when they're crying. But anyway, Rob is very open to having interns working with him, so you can see us in action. But during the training session that week, we do a lot of role playing. We ask a lot of questions. We go over a lot of protocols. It's all about application. To teach you how to use the machine, it'll take 5 minutes. The beauty with BIE is how to apply what you've learned and how to use the machine the best, the fastest, and the quickest way. We also teach you the best way that you can get repeat customers is to get your clients helped as fast as possible. And so we give you priority 1, priority 2, priority 3 to take care of. We don't want you seeing people for months and months and months and months. We want you to see people for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, at the most, 6 or 8 BIE sessions, and they're done. And the less people have to come back to see you, the less they have to pay you, the more they're going to refer other people to go see you. And that's where you get wives saying, my husband has to come, or my kids have to come, or my mom has to come, or my sister has to come, because you're not holding them hostage by making them come back week after week after week after week and spending thousands and thousands of dollars. No, you want to get them in and out of your office as quickly as possible, with having them achieve their goal as quickly as possible. That's how you get referrals. That's one of our secrets, and that's what keeps us busy constantly. Rob and I have not done a stitch of advertising in probably, I would say, more than 15 years now. All of our business comes from referrals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that I love having this overview, and I love letting people know to look through kind of what we cover day 1 to day 6. But the fun thing is, and what I explain to people when people call with questions, I'm the one you'll end up speaking with, and I chat through about this every day, is it's so much more inclusive, in the sense that, as Rob was discussing, one of my favorite parts is going over the whole business protocol thing, because as nutritionists, we finish school and we know exactly what to do with a certain person in terms of protocol and what to recommend. But not a lot of us went to business school. Not a lot of us know how to start a practice, what's included in starting a practice. And what I love, especially being a type A organized person, is we go through exactly very detailed instructions on what to do, We provide all forms and documents and handouts and everything so that upon completion of the program, you are literally ready to start a practice the next day if you wanted. And further to what Silvana was saying, even in the practice as well, in addition to what you'll see outlined on the screen, something that I really love about Rob and Silvana and the experience I've been teaching with them for about 10 years now is every single class that we have, every course that we have new people joining our BIE family is what we call them. And throughout that week, we're spending 6 days. It's an intensive course together all day, every day. And what Rob and Silvana do, in addition to just teaching kind of like the cut and dry, even, protocols and everything like that, is they're really also giving you a lot of their experience on what it's like to be a practitioner. Silvana does touch on emotional nourishment. She teaches on how to protect yourself as a practitioner, how you can be your best self to show up for your clients. And so we do cover, again, a lot of things about protocols, how to use the modality, the history and research, the business protocol, but we're also teaching you how to be the best version of yourself and how to show up best for your clients too, which is really fun.
Excellent. All right. So part of the BIE overview is all program attendees will receive the following: 6-day consecutive training in BIE. You will also receive the GSR 120 unit, the one I told you we went over with you. Now that, Brittany, you want to explain that with the unit?
Sorry?
You want to explain the whole idea with the BIE, the GSR 120 unit?
Oh yeah. So actually, funnily enough, it's right behind Rob there on the wall. But yeah, upon completion of the training, you'll receive the actual machine and all peripherals and the modality to practice BIE. What I personally love about our technology, so you can see there again behind Rob, it's about this big, the machine. And when you receive the machine and parts, you also receive a carrying case. So it is super, super simple to travel literally anywhere to go see clients with your machine. We have a lot of practitioners who will go between a few offices, people who will do mobile client appointments. I've actually done that for 8 years. I'll go to certain businesses to practice and work with employees, or go to certain homes. Again, you can go between clinics, or there's a situation like Rob and Silvana where they've had their same setup for X amount of years and they keep their machine there. But I love that there's that option that with the machine, because it's so tiny and so easy to carry around with you, you have flexibility to practice where it's most convenient for yourself or for your clients, which is wonderful. And in addition, so again, being a type A personality, these are my favorite things, is receiving the fully comprehensive course reference manual. With BIE business protocols and directives and BIE license. So we do have a lot of material that we provide. We go over a lot of information throughout the training, but you will receive a BIE pathology manual and BIE reference manual. So there are hundreds of pages. The pathology manual is one of my favorites. Now that is diseases listed from A to Z and exactly what to test for BIE and how to work with it with BIE. So you'll have a certain example headaches and what you can test for that, and then how you can work on it as well. In addition to the pathology manual, Rob had mentioned that we have ongoing monthly webinars with our practitioners. And as he said, that's also where we go over recent findings, updates to protocols. We review questions and answers from practitioners, which is super fun. So you'll be able to see over the 200 practitioners that we have, what are their questions in certain cases that are coming in. So we really get to learn, which is lovely. And then our BIE training manual is awesome. I kid you not, I have had that manual myself. I took the training 8 years ago. And every time I look through it, I shock myself. There's 300 pages. You're obviously not going to memorize it. But I flip through it and there's so much information and it's so fun. There's so many handouts that people have laminated that they use in their practice or they hand out to different people. So that manual there pretty much tells you everything you'll need to know about BIE. So what we encourage practitioners to do is if you're ever curious about anything, you have the materials that are provided to you and you can flip through those, find all the answers you need. And then we are also always there for our practitioners as well. If you have any questions and need to call us, send us any emails. We have ongoing clinical support too. But I do love that we send you home prepared with all the information and answers so that, again, if you ever have a question, if you're wondering, you'll have all the details there. And we do actually have access to artwork. It mentions there free access to full color artwork templates for brochures. So upon completion of the training, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we send you absolutely all of our documents in our practice. So another fun thing too is we encourage our BIE practitioners to use the BIE logo that we have as well, so people know that you're with us. The fun thing with being a BIE practitioner is with INHT, we have had 20 years. Actually, this in 2024 will be our 20th year anniversary of licensing others. So it's really lovely to be a part of the community where you can kind of fall back on us. So it's not like you're just kind of doing this weird thing that no one's ever heard of, that people are like, kind of, what's going on there? You have a company that you can fall back on. Again, well, we're actually licensed with INHT, who's been in practice for over 20 years. Rob and Silvana in particular have been in practice for almost 30 years. And again, we've been licensing others for about 20 years. So it's really nice to be cohesive with our advertising and be able to throw in the BIE logo wherever you want. And that's totally optional. And then people will know you kind of have credibility there. And we also do give, and I love this one too, a PowerPoint presentation for public health talks. So Rob had actually just recently updated that. I think it was in June, and full beautiful PowerPoint slide. I kid you not, you can just pop that thing up and go from, like, familiarize yourself with it, of course, but go through slide to slide. And it is such a wonderful presentation and representation and explanation about BIE. So any questions that people would have, or if they're wondering kind of what is this, that fully preps you and makes you completely presentable and organized to take it to health shows, to little health talks, even if you're just wanting to chat with family and friends. So I really love that tool as well.
Excellent. All right. So I don't know if we really need to get into all this. You can just kind of take note of what we have on the body rather than sit and read it all. But basically, there is great benefits of this protocol. And one thing that Brittany touched on is, yeah, you have support. You're not in there by yourself now. You know, once you finish school, you don't basically keep calling your school, okay, I got this client here, what do I do? It's not the school's responsibility to answer those questions. However, when you're part of the BIE, as we call it, the BIE family, that's what we do. And that's actually one of my jobs is to be a clinical support for you out in the field. And then if you're stuck with something, you call us up and what do I do? I've got this person that's come in with this. Any suggestions? And that's when I'm more than happy to help you out. The benefits of the program, well, we can go through a few of those. Exclusive rights to the BIE designation. Remember, it's licensed, so you have to be licensed to be able to do that. Quick return on investment. We're going to go through that in a minute. You can go through these benefits you want to, rather than me go through them all. So there's lots we can cover. If you want more information, please call Brittany or call us at the INHT. Had to think about that. INHT, and we're going to show you all the information in the next slide, I think. And then you can actually give us a call, find out from Brittany what is there more information that we have, and then she'll send them to you.
Well, actually, Rob, on that note, yeah, to mention, so we have a few ways that we can connect. So following this webinar, I believe Julia from IHN is going to be sending contact information, so I can actually forward you these slides. But in addition to that, if you did want to get in contact sooner, we do on our website, which is inht.ca, and that will be on one of the slides listed. There's a contact form that you can reach out. Thank you, Rob. And with the contact form, because I know a lot of people these days, we don't really have much time for phone calls. I mean, I love chatting with people and I love having phone calls with people, but you know, I understand that people are busy. So if you just simply want the information emailed over to you, what I have is a complete package of everything pertaining to the training program. So the cost, upcoming dates, everything included, and all of the information that you'll see here. And again, just in one lovely little package. So if you're ever interested in information, this is exactly where you can find us, and feel free to send me an email, give me a call, whatever is easy for you, and I can send that right over. And on that note, if you are just interested in looking a little bit more about kind of what we do and how BIE works, we've just recently started an Instagram page, which has been really fun and a lot more work than we anticipated. But we have gotten on social media, which we're really excited about, because again, we've been in practice for almost 30 years. So it was kind of about time that we got with the times and got on social media. So I'd love to connect with you guys there as well, if you ever want. And again, just to repeat, feel free to give us a call at any point if you have any questions or anything.
Our next training session starts October 23rd.
Mm.
So it's going to run October 23rd to the 28th.
Yeah.
Right.
6 days consecutive. Yeah.
Also, I want to add that from the beginning, as Brittany mentioned, 2024 is going to be our 20th anniversary. We've never increased our prices, but in 2024, we are going to change the formatting of our training session. It is going to be more expensive, but it is going to be more inclusive. Right now, vials are not included with the training. However, that's one of the things that we're looking at as well. So we're collaborating with a company or a few companies. Anyway, we're changing the way the whole inclusions and formatting is going to be in 2024 to celebrate our 20th anniversary. So this October 23rd is going to be the last class that will be under the old format with the old pricing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the current format with the old pricing, which is lovely. First of all, thanks for the follow, Jess. I just got that notification there. Jess M just followed us on Instagram. That's so lovely.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much for mentioning that, Silvana. So we do have, I totally forgot to mention, our upcoming training is in October, Monday, October 23rd to Saturday, October 28th. And we typically do recommend, I always recommend to apply 4 weeks in advance. I think we're a little bit around that mark. So our registration will close 1 week prior. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to get the ball rolling there. But I am also paying attention to the time here at 7:58, and we do have some questions and answers that came through. Did we want to maybe go to some questions and answers?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So I'll open up the Q&A box here. And we have a question of, can BIE help in the context of food allergens that cause anaphylaxis? In brackets, usually patients carry an EpiPen at all times.
Well, BIE doesn't treat anaphylaxis. What BIE does is it helps a person's body to recognize it. So want to be clear that we're not going to say, hey, we're going to cure you of anaphylaxis. We've had hundreds, if not thousands of people, of all the practitioners across Canada and the US, that have worked with people who had anaphylactic reactions. And after they've gone back, worked with their doctor, whatever, found out they're no longer allergic to that substance. Now, we don't suggest that we will clear you on it, so you can just eat it all you want. You'd have to get your complete permission from a licensed medical doctor. But just so you know, just from our experience, we've had many people said that they have been able to consume those foods. Not that they're wanting to eat them all the time, but if they accidentally ingested it, it's not going to kill them. They're fine. They did fine. There's no reaction whatsoever. But only a medical doctor can actually give you that information. So, but it's a good question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I mean, as practitioners, what we always say when people call in with questions like that, we're very particular with our wording. Of course, there's things that we legally can and cannot say, and that's actually something that we also very thoroughly teach throughout the training. But we always say, as we're not medical doctors, we cannot claim to treat, cure, diagnose any medical condition. However, we have had certain people come in with certain symptoms that no longer have those symptoms. So as Rob was saying, specifically with anaphylaxis, we would never, ever tell anyone, go eat this food and whatnot. We'll always send people back to their medical doctors for testing and making sure everything is safe. But again, we work with the individual's body to bring them back into balance and alleviate their own symptoms.
I have a question that just came up here. Can I make enough income to support my family if I start this? Because I currently work at a specific job now or occupation, but if I were to make a switch over to working with BIE, can I make a living at it? Now, understand something. We don't focus on money, and we want everybody to understand that. We're not focused on money. However, I'm going to go over a couple pages here. We sent this out through IHN a little while ago, and we've got some feedback from people going, "Are you serious?" This is very realistic. And if you I know some people say, "Look, I'm full-time working this, or I'm a practitioner. I want to do this as a practice, but I'd love to add BIE as an adjunct to my clinic. Can I do that?" Absolutely. You don't have to leave what you're currently doing in a practice to do BIE. You can add it as an adjunct to your existing practice. So I know one practitioner says, "I can only work 1 day a week." And again, we're not focused on the money, but just to tell you the realistic facts, what basically you can make. Typically, someone who works 1 day a week will make about $72,000 a year. 2 days a week, 144, or 3 days a week, 216. I know some people that work 5 days a week, but I like to personally, myself, I like to only work 4 days a week because I get a 3-day weekend every week, and I love it. But you can do the math if you want to add how many days you want to add on to that. But if you can only work 2 days a week, it's a good income. So again, I don't want to focus on the money. When you really focus on money, your patients can tell if you're focused on money or not, and it's a turn off to them. But when you can actually pour your heart into the person and they can feel that you're out to help them, well, guess what happens? They trust you. They start referring more and more and more, and they just start coming in by the droves, as we've been watching here. And it's crazy the amount of people and if you make it affordable and something that's easy and it's effective, then you're going to see a lot of people come in, and then this kind of money is very commonplace for you. So anyway, go ahead, Britt, back to the Q&A.
Yeah, so we have another question here. I actually have quite a few in the chat as well, so I'll try to go through these to make sure we cover everything. So someone was wondering, so if it helps the body to recognize beneficial nutrients, does it also help the body to recognize and eliminate things like parasites, heavy metals, viruses, etc.?
You want to answer that, Sil?
Sure. So let's say that you have an intestinal infection. Some bacteria is taken over and you're vomiting, you have diarrhea and all this stuff. So what's happening? So your body's trying to throw something off that it doesn't recognize, but this doesn't go away. It goes on for 10 days and then 2 weeks and then 3 weeks. And you've been on 2 or 3 different kinds of medications and nothing is working to kill this bugger. So we have many different frequencies for many different common parasites, bacteria, fungus. Once your body recognizes that frequency of the culprit that's causing all those symptoms, we put that on the machine, your body will recognize that frequency, and then your immune system will do what it has to do and go kill it off, and the symptoms stop. Yeah, that's how simple it is.
It's as simple. It's almost like saying we have a search and rescue dog here, and we have a missing person. And if we sent the dog out, he wouldn't know what they're looking for, so he or she. So we give it a shoe or a sock to smell to pick up on the trail, and goes right to it. So if we can take the vibrational signature of a specific type of bacteria and imprint it in the body, so the body recognizes it, goes, what? Ooh, hey, wait, I've got that in my body. And instantly the body goes right for it and kicks it out. So we've seen some phenomenal things, how the body will kick off bacteria or parasites or whatever. And you also mentioned heavy metals. Once you imprint the vibrational signature of a heavy metal, the body tends to throw it off. Then we always suggest you take something to support the kidneys and liver for that, because heavy metals tend to come out through the kidneys and the lungs, pardon me. It'll come out through the kidneys and lungs. So it's good to take something to support that, but it comes out very, very quickly. Yes.
And another thing too, speaking about heavy metals, people that have a lot of amalgam fillings have a lot of mercury. Mercury and candida have a symbiotic relationship within the body. So if you do have a lot of mercury and your body doesn't recognize the mercury, the candida and the mercury are going to be having a blast in your body, just causing so many different symptoms. So you put those two on the machine at the same time, and your body starts to go to work, your body's immune system starts to go to work to get rid of all the symptoms because it knows the culprit. That's how simple it is.
Perfect. So I'll go over, we received another question here, and then there's a few things in the chat that I wanted to go over, but I'll just say as well, we got another 5 people in this group that followed us on Instagram. This stuff is invigorating to me. You can tell I'm new with Instagram here. I am so excited seeing all of your names here. Oh my gosh. And I just love connecting with people. So this is the most fun. So we had another question that came through that said, where will you be holding the licensing training? Is it in person or virtual? So we are hosting the training. It's in-person training and it's in Oakville. And I always like to explain this as well, because a lot of people do ask if it's possible to join virtual. But unfortunately, it wouldn't actually be possible to do the training virtually because of the amount of hands-on training there is. Now, not only with the modality itself and the actual equipment and training you on exactly how every single piece and part works and how to use it, but also with the extensive practicing that we do with each other to make sure that you're comfortable with muscle testing and so on and so forth. It would be lovely if it was possible to do virtual, but again, it's very, very hands-on, intensive training. So we do host it in person. And again, that'll be in Oakville. And in our chat, so we had lovely stuff that was brought here. Firstly, actually, Rose right away had mentioned BIE is the only therapy that worked to heal Lyme disease that I got back in 2020, lifesaver. And again, me being the stickler for words and everything, we just claim that we don't cure Lyme at all. Again, we work with the body to bring it back into balance, alleviating its own symptoms. But actually on that note as well, we had someone else that asked, Jessica M, ask, can you let us know what the next window is after October 2023? And then also, is BIE able to help with serious Lyme symptoms? So a few questions about the topic of Lyme. And for our October 2023 training that's coming up, the following training will be in April of 2024. And then if Rob or Silvana, if you wanted to mention, also is BIE able to help with serious Lyme symptoms?
I've had, go ahead, Sil, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Rob is our resident Lyme expert. So I'll let you do that.
Well, the only reason she says that is because I've had it so many times. And I know what it's caused from, and yet I've been bit by ticks. And anyway, I've probably seen a lot of people, probably at least 120 a month come in with it. And it just seems to be crazy out there getting bit by ticks. And according to the Center for Disease Control, if you happen to eat meat, if you're a hunter or something, you're eating meat that is not cooked well done, then you will have Lyme. So what's that tell you? How many people are eating meat that's not done well done? But anyway, so we take the bacteria, the signatures, and we imprint it in the body. The body recognizes it, throws it off. Guess what happens? Symptom free. And we've actually had people go back and get tested, and they said there's no trace of Lyme in their body. So did we do that? No, the body did it. The body healed itself. We just helped the body to recognize the culprits that were causing the problem, and the body healed itself.
Perfect. And another question that we got is, what if your patient tests for all of the above? Bacteria, parasites, heavy metals, etc. In your protocols, do you go through where to start first? I find that most people I see struggle with all of the above. And that is a wonderful, wonderful question. And again, I can confidently say, yes, that is definitely something that we cover. I love how Rob and Silvana go through exactly where to start. So we have something that we call a baseline testing that we do with every client, and we'll teach exactly what is most important to start testing with. But exactly as you had asked, for those individuals who have bacteria, parasites, heavy metals, etc., it's very common that people come in to see you and your client sitting in front of you there has 10 different issues. It's not always as black and white as they're coming in with one thing. So that is a really, really big part of the training, is to be able to discern where to start in your testing and what to start with BIE and the protocols and exactly where to go from there.
Perfect.
Did you or Silvana have anything to touch on that?
No, I think you answered it well.
Yeah. And Silvana did cover this. Rose had asked, do we receive any vials with the course, or is that extra? So again, for this upcoming October training, the vials are the only thing that's purchased separately. And so what you can do in that regard is we send each individual who applies a recommended test kit list. And that breaks down the kits from most commonly used to least commonly used. We have been in practice again for almost 30 years, and we don't even have all of the kits that are available. So we like to break it down to people, and you can sort of build your kit inventory as you go. So that is separate. And for the training in April, there will be some kits included in the new pricing structure and inclusions that are available. So that will be changed. Lovely. And then another question, and I think this is our last one, is another question. Why is it that sometimes I can test well with a vial and then I check again and I don't test well? Why would my energy shift so quickly?
What typically happens is the testing we do with the muscle testing tests what your body is doing that day. It's how your body's, what stress are you under that particular day? So the body and that energy in the body is always trying to find a balance. It's like a teeter-totter. Some days you're stressed and it may not test well, but if you're not stressed, it tests okay. So basically we're testing it. So from day to day, if you've been going through any emotional stress, physical stress would be things like I didn't drink enough water, I didn't get enough sleep, I ate something I'm intolerant to and it stressed my body. Mental stress, emotional stress, anything like that, it can throw it off. Are you around electromagnetic fields? That tends to throw off the energy in the body. So it can vary in different tests from one to another. So it's not a normal thing for people to just consecutively just keep, or consistently, I should say, test differently. It's usually the same thing, but every once in a while you'll get somebody who may test strong to something, and then another day, that's depending on the stress of that individual.
And sometimes too, when a person is dehydrated or when a person is not feeling well, like let's say they're they're fighting something off and it's just at the very beginning, they're not going to test well for many things on that day. And another thing too that people experience sometimes during our testing is that their polarity keeps on inverting. So a lot of times you're balanced, your energy is balanced, but then you pick up something that you're anaphylactic to or you're very intolerant to, and your polarity inverts. So things that should be testing well for you will now be testing poorly for you. And so when we find that people are testing very poorly for many items at once, we recheck their polarity to make sure that they're balanced, their energy is balanced.
And polarity is that energy I was telling that flows around your body. But when you get very stressed, it can actually go backwards. And then everything that's good for you will test bad, and everything should be testing bad will test good. So it can vary based on your stress in your body that particular day. But we teach all the practitioners how to deal with that and how to bring it back into balance before you can continue on testing.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So I think that's everything that we covered. And I do want to be cognizant of the time here. It is 8:15. So I just want to check in with, yeah. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
If we're doing okay, I feel so bad. We took a little bit longer today.
No, that's perfect. But I think we landed on the perfect timing. And yeah, thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Silvana, for the webinar today. And as Brittany mentioned, reach out to her if you have questions. Also, you can go back to the email that Julia sent out that led you to this webinar. And there's a link in there where you can, see the list of practitioners that are doing this. And I know there's some other information in there. And you can certainly reach out to Julia if there's any questions regarding any of that. So thank you all for being here. And yeah, I guess Brittany, Silvana, Rob, any last words or final comments before we kind of shut down the webinar?
Well, again, I just wanted to thank IHN for hosting this webinar for us. And I look forward to continuing our collaboration. Like I said, I think it's the perfect marriage. A nutritionist loves to talk about food, and we like to talk about good food, but we want to get to the root cause of the problem, and we want food to be medicine, not anything else. So let's get back to basics and let's allow the body to function the way it was intended to function.
And I want to say thank you for just taking the time out of your busy night to spend with us and to listen to me jabber about what we are excited and passionate about, but we are really excited about. I never miss it. I never regret coming to work. I never regret coming for a day. And it's almost like I'm socializing with everybody, and I love it. And anyway, thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for listening to us. Brittany, do you have anything you want to say?
I just want to say again for the third time, I'm so happy to connect with you all. We had another person who had followed us here. And again, our favorite thing is just connection with people. So this is so exciting. Oh, yes, Christy, that you had reached out. So I'm so happy to get to know you guys and connect. And as Rob and Silvana said, thank you so much for taking the time out of your night to be here with us and join us. And Jason, thank you so much. This is my first webinar with you. You are absolutely wonderful. I appreciate you so much.
Awesome. I'll take it. And yeah, thanks again for everybody that was here tonight. And we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.